3 years into my marriage to the devoted male lead after traversing into this narrative, Jiang Wangshan brought forth poison with his own hands to save the heroine. He proclaimed, "A Shuang, this poison is but a ruse. As long as I obtain the antidote to rescue Xianyun, I shall request a noble title for you." I could only manage a bitter smile as I accepted it, turning around to administer it to him. He seemed to have forgotten that I possessed profound medical knowledge, and of a remarkably high caliber at that. To poison in the presence of a healer, claiming the toxin to be a mere illusion, was truly a display of ignorance. Look, how could he possibly be unscathed? He was already foaming at the mouth. Fortunately, I refrained from ingesting it. Otherwise, it would have been rather embarrassing. 1. Shuang, please release me. This medicine poses no threat. Once Xianyun is rescued, everything will be rectified. Shen Wangshan, immobilized by my needle, uttered these words of entreaty. The effects of the drug swiftly took hold, his veins bulging, blood seeping from his mouth and nostrils, and his eyes bloodshot as they fixed on me. I felt no fear as I crouched down to observe his agonizing struggle. Unable to maintain his composure, he urgently implored, Shuang. I possess an antidote within my embrace that can temporarily suppress the toxin. I never meant to harm you. From his arms, I retrieved a jade porcelain vial, specially designated by the Imperial Medical Institute. At that moment, a ruby-inlaid golden hairpin clattered to the ground. Picking it up, I found it oddly familiar. Indeed. Upon inspecting one of its petals, I discovered a tiny white character, Xianyun's mark. I shot a derisive glance at the nearly frenzied Shen Wangshan. How devoted he was. To poison me despite knowing that I carried his child, all for her sake. Shen Wangshan's voice rose in agitation. I forbid you from harming her. She knows nothing of this. It is I who am to blame. Direct your wrath at me. I scoffed and administered the pill from the vial into his mouth. I am indeed targeting you, for Bai Xianyun is my future benefactor, and I would never harm her. Shen Wangshan, bewildered by my intentions, gazed at me in shock, struggling to comprehend my motives. However, he soon found relief from the torment coursing through him, and, regaining his composure, he offered me an apology. Forgive me, Shuang. I embraced him, producing a silver needle from my sleeve, and swiftly plunged it into his acupoint. As Shen Wangshan's speech became slurred, resembling that of a stroke victim, I finally allowed a satisfied smile to grace my lips. 2. Someone, come quickly. Wangshan is in trouble. The news spread that Shen Wangshan had personally tested the antidote for the current empress's poison. My heart ached as I beheld the paralytic form of Shen Wangshan, his face contorted in distress. Leaning in, I whispered softly into his ear, Husband, tell me, if I were to procure the antidote, would it be for you or for the Empress? I felt like a quintessentially wicked female antagonist, gazing upon the deeply affectionate second male lead. The female protagonist. The current Empress Bai Xianyun had valiantly shielded the Emperor from an assassin's blade, only to find it poisoned, leaving her in a state of unconsciousness. The imperial physicians were at a loss, with only Master Wuwang from Fahua Mountain capable of concocting an antidote. Alas, Master Wuwang, a former noble consort, harbored a deep-seated hatred for the Empress Dowager who had caused her to renounce her family, rendering any assistance to her enemy's daughter-in-law improbable. Shen Wangshan, recalling that I had been nurtured by Master Wuwang since childhood, resolved to ascertain whether she would intervene by targeting me. He disregarded the fact that I was already with child. The plot had reached its climax, awaiting Shen Wangshan to kneel and plead before Master Wuwang for 3 days and nights in hopes of receiving the antidote to save Bai Xianyun. The male lead understood his true feelings, destined to be with the female lead Bai Xianyun for eternity. Meanwhile, the second male lead would remain by my side, serving as a minister, aiding the female lead's son in ascending the throne, thus concluding the tale. Such a beautiful narrative of redemptive love, yet so heartbreaking for the second male lead. Gazing at the paralyzed form of the second male lead, I instinctively cradled my belly. This child was the result of my meticulous plotting, heralding the dawn of beautiful days ahead. I could not resign myself to such an end. 3. My child. What has happened to you? What on earth is going on? My mother-in-law barged in, inquiring about the situation. At last, the moment I had awaited for so long had arrived. Lifting my head, I wept uncontrollably. It is all my fault, if only I were not with child. I could endure this suffering in place of my husband. My mother-in-law, upon hearing my words, scrutinized my belly with a mix of astonishment and delight. After assisting me to rise, she realized the implications of my statements. Before she could utter a word, I recounted the lines I had rehearsed countless times in my mind. My husband and the Empress have shared a childhood bond, their feelings profoundly intertwined. Now, with the Empress bedridden, he is deeply troubled. Upon learning that Master Wuwang could provide an antidote, he resolved to have me ingest the same poison, intending to compel Master Wuwang to act. My mother-in-law, well aware of her son's sentiments, could not contain her frustration upon discovering his reckless scheme, slamming her hand on the table. Absurd. I offered a bitter smile and shook my head. Mother, I do not blame my husband. Wiping away the hard-earned tears, I continued, it is all my fault. Knowing I was pregnant, I could not wait to share the news with him, and upon learning, he ingested the poison. Had I known, I would have remained silent. I collapsed onto my mother-in-law's lap, sobbing. She comforted me gently. Do not cry, dear child. Wangshan has brought this upon himself. You are a good child. It is the Shin family's fault. As I watched Wangshan twist the truth and wail, I ceased my tears and administered a few more needles. I had no intention of curing him, for I lacked the capacity. The needles I had driven into him served only to keep him conscious. I wanted him to fully experience the sensation of being poisoned. To take another's life so carelessly, how could that be permissible? Yu Shuang, what are you doing? My mother-in-law, aware of my medical prowess, mistakenly believed that Shin Wangshan might be saved. I quickly clarified, not wishing for any misunderstandings. I am limited in my abilities. My husband has ingested the same poison as the Empress. Despite my utmost efforts, all I can do is keep him in this state of awareness. It is my inadequacy. Do not blame yourself. You have done remarkably well, she thought, secretly cursing Bai Xianyun as a vixen who had caused her son to be poisoned, without doubting my words. Indeed, Shin Wangshan, for the sake of Bai Xianyun's reputation, had willingly wed me, a child of the royal temple. What else could he not do? I pursed my lips, feigning ignorance of my mother-in-law's thoughts, deliberately producing the ruby-inlaid golden hairpin. This is the pin that fell from my husband when I retrieved the medicine. I did not expect him to keep it. Upon seeing the pin, my mother-in-law was further convinced of my narrative. Witnessing Shin Wangshan's helpless state, she furiously broke the pin in two. It was then that I suddenly remembered this pin was our matchmaker's token. When the male lead was still a prince, he had gifted it to Bai Xianyun. Subsequently, during an ambush at Fahua Mountain, the pin was lost, leaving Bai Xianyun heartbroken. Shin Wangshan, the devoted admirer, had sought it out, only to be injured by the returning assassin. I had saved him during that time, providing meticulous care for a month, which left a profound impression on him, leading him to propose. By then, I was already aware that he was the deeply affectionate second male lead from the novel I had read before sleeping. I had hesitated, yet gazing into his sincere eyes, I chose to trust him and excitedly accepted his proposal. Even though he offered me nothing, devoid of romance, I still blushed with anticipation for our future together. I believed I had traversed time solely to meet him, to alter his fate, to bring him happiness, only to realize it was a one-sided yearning. On our wedding day, I donned a simple red dress and exchanged vows with him. The following morning, I rose early to prepare meals for him. When I went to call him, I discovered he was in an argument with my mother-in-law, learning that I was merely a shield for Bai Xianyun. Bai Xianyun desired to marry the male lead, but had a prior engagement, desperately pleading with him. She proclaimed, I only see you as a brother. Shin Wangshan, pained, yielded to Bai Xianyun's wish to marry the male lead, unilaterally severing our engagement and taking all blame upon himself, even publicly declaring that he had chosen me, the orphan from the royal temple, insisting he would marry no one else. For, from that moment on, I understood, I had never truly entered his heart. He had never harbored feelings for me. 3 years passed, and the man who once vowed to cherish our life together, to forget Bai Xianyun, now sought to poison me. Meanwhile, amidst the escalating cold violence, I learned to love myself and let go of this deeply affectionate second male lead. When Bai Xianyun fell victim to poisoning and sought the antidote from Master Wuwang, I realized that the plot of the novel was indeed unfolding. I had granted him a chance. After all, even if I harbored no love for him, He had bestowed upon me a life of luxury and prosperity. Even in modern times, a man like Shen Wangshan, who generously provides for his wife while absent from home, is a rarity. I convinced myself that he was merely earning a living for me. In this ancient era, my arrival heralded a life far more opulent than the arduous days at Fahua Mountain, and I ought to be grateful to him. Thus, I seized an opportunity to inform him of my pregnancy. In the narrative, Shen Wangshan was oblivious to the fact that the female antagonist was with child, leading him to poison her, after which he deeply regretted his actions and remained unmarried for life. I hoped that, for the sake of the child, he would show mercy. Alas, he ultimately disappointed me. He spared not even the child, driven by the mere possibility of Master Wuwang taking action. My expectations of him evaporated completely, and I willingly consumed the poison he had sent, a fitting retribution for his cruelty. Reflecting on it now, it truly is a case where the world has changed beyond recognition. Could you possibly beseech Master Wuwang for assistance? My mother-in-law implored, her face flushed with embarrassment. It is well known that I had disregarded Master Wuwang's pleas in my pursuit of marrying Shen Wangshan. How could I now muster the courage to ask for his help? Ultimately, I acquiesced, albeit reluctantly, for Wangshan's sake. My mother-in-law sighed in relief. You've done well. Rest assured, once Wangshan awakens, I will ensure he treats you with the utmost care. With that, she adorned my wrist with her imperial green jade bracelet, a symbol of the mistress of the Shen household. I gazed at the bracelet, aware that this grand performance was not in vain. Before departing, I took the time to administer several acupuncture needles to Shen Wangshan, hoping to ensure he could articulate the truth. Even if he did, my mother-in-law would likely remain skeptical. Even an investigation would only reveal that the poison had been prepared by Shen Wangshan. However, after years of reading novels, I understood that details determine success or failure. I wished to avert any last-minute blunders. After all, I was the malicious female antagonist. On the journey to Fahua Mountain, I felt remarkably buoyant. Master Wuwang, ostensibly my adoptive mother, was, in truth, afflicted with a grave illness, similarly ensnared by the system as a wicked female antagonist. Having failed her mission, she remained here, and I had no intention of returning, thus I administered the poison to Shen Wangshan as a form of retribution. Sister, I have come to see you, I declared. Arriving at Fahua Mountain with numerous packages in tow, I dismissed my attendants, setting down my burdens and pulled her from her bed. Upon seeing me, Wuwang rubbed her eyes, instantly alert. Goodness, why have you returned? Did that wretched Shen Wangshan cast you out? I waved my hand dismissively, reclining triumphantly in a chair. Not at all. He lies incapacitated on the bed thanks to my needlework. I caressed my still flat abdomen, indulging in pastries as I boldly declared, I have come to claim that antidote. Once Bai Xianyun is revived, the story will conclude, and I shall bring you to the Shen residence, where we will revel in riches together. I patted my chest, gently stroking my belly. Once this child is born, the Shen household will belong to us. Wuwang was taken aback by my determination to fulfill the promise I had made to her. 3 years prior, when I resolved to marry Shen Wangshan, Wuwang had expressed her skepticism regarding our union. She remarked, the reason the devoted male antagonist is so devoted is that he has deep feelings for the female protagonist. If he were so easily swayed, he would cease to be the devoted male antagonist. She noted, Shen Wangshan's gaze is fixated on Bai Xianyun. His proposal to you surely harbors ulterior motives. She insisted, even I, an outsider, can discern that he does not truly care for you. Marrying him will not bring you happiness. She provided me with countless warnings, even sharing her own experiences. It was then that I learned she too had been a wicked female antagonist. In her narrative, the male and female protagonists were the late emperor and the current empress dowager. She genuinely loved the late emperor and had nearly lost her life several times in her devotion to him, only to find herself trapped in Fahua Temple, forced to become a nun. She wished to spare me from repeating her tragic fate. What had I said back then? My memory falters. It has only been 3 years, yet it feels like an eternity. Perhaps the dismal marriage made the days crawl, or perhaps the incessant banalities of the plot have left me jaded. Wuwang gave me a thumbs up, genuinely impressed. You are remarkable. You surpass me. Had I been as clear-headed as you were, perhaps I would not still be here. She produced pastries, enjoying them with glee. You wouldn't truly stab him with a needle, hoping for a son, would you? Be cautious, lest you be discovered. She warned anxiously. I trusted the skills she had imparted to me. Wu Wang was the granddaughter of the director of the Imperial Medical Institute, and, as a reincarnated soul, she had grown up amidst herbs. By the age of 15, her medical prowess equaled that of her grandfather, her skills unparalleled. Alas, she possessed a somewhat romantic mindset. Had she been as resolute as I, perhaps the male protagonist might never have been born. I recall now. I once said to you, rest assured. I do not possess a romantic delusion. If he dares to mistreat me, I will stab him with a needle. I remarked. Whoever I marry is merely a matter of choice. Men are fundamentally the same. Shen Wangshan is wealthy and handsome, yet he does not care for me. Marrying him is no loss. I stated, in modern times, infidelity is rampant. Should he perish, I would still inherit his fortune. Little did I anticipate that merely 3 years later, my words would come back to haunt me. Men. It seems I had discerned their true nature long before. After Wu Wang had her fill, she examined my pulse. Your health is stable. By the time you give birth, I expect to be enjoying life at your residence. With me by your side, you shall have a smooth delivery, she assured me confidently. Suddenly, her expression shifted, and she became somewhat bashful. By the way, could you show me the hehuan you prepared? My cheeks flushed at her inquiry, and I shyly wrote it down for her. Goodness. You truly are unafraid of Shen Wangshan dying in your bed, she remarked, though I felt no remorse as I replied. It is not that I fear it may be ineffective. Should I not conceive, my efforts would be in vain. If adoption becomes necessary, it would lead to a myriad of complications. Wu Wang was left speechless, merely offering me a thumbs up in admiration. 3 days passed, and Wu Wang finally succumbed to my persistence, agreeing to descend the mountain. The male protagonist had already dispatched individuals to infiltrate the Shin residence. Upon my arrival, I encountered several unfamiliar faces. My mother-in-law's expression was grim, as though she were struggling to maintain composure. Mother, what is the matter? I inquired, sensing something was amiss. She shook her head silently. But upon noticing Wu Wang behind me, her demeanor softened. You must be Master Wu Wang. Please examine Wangshan quickly. He has lacked vitality these past few days. Wu Wang cast a casual glance at me. No need to check. I am the one responsible. After assessing his pulse, Wu Wang sighed and produced a vial of medicine from her robes, her eyes filled with regret. I never expected that Hong Enzue would see the light of day again. This is the last antidote left by my grandfather. Even I cannot concoct it. Madame Shin, my mother-in-law, was well aware of Hong Enzue's significance. Years ago, when Wu Wang was still known as De Fei, she had been imprisoned at Fahua Mountain for allegedly administering poison. The specifics were unknown to her at the time. She only knew that all evidence pointed to her. Thankfully, only the test poison made had perished, and the poison Wu Wang had used was indeed Hong Enzue. The director of the Imperial Medical Institute could not believe his granddaughter capable of such an act, resigning to study the antidote. It is no wonder the imperial physician suggested Wu Wang might possess the antidote. Madame Shin had no time to ponder the intricate matters of the previous dynasty. She swiftly advanced, grasping the vial tightly. As she prepared to pour it into Shen Wangshan's mouth, alas, one of her maidservants was quicker. Before anyone had a chance to react, the pill had already been snatched from Madame Shin's grasp, and I swiftly made my exit. I had anticipated the scene. My eyes eagerly sought out Shen Wangshan, who was still conscious and witnessing his sole antidote being taken from him. A surge of satisfaction coursed through me. My mother-in-law, unwilling to concede, pursued me. But upon encountering the emperor in the courtyard, her anxious heart finally found peace. As a dutiful daughter-in-law and loving wife, I too was concerned about the fate of the pill and followed suit. Upon seeing the male protagonist, I knelt and implored him desperately. Madame Shin, please rise. Your deep affection for Shin Aicheng is commendable. Your willingness to offer the antidote has deeply moved me. Therefore, I hereby bestow upon Lu Weifang the title of first-rank noble consort and grant Shen Wangshan the title of Earl of Yong'an for his courageous act to save the Empress, with hereditary rights intact. The Emperor did not wait for my response and immediately issued his decree. A wave of elation washed over me. Even in the absence of Shen Wangshan, the title of noble consort had nonetheless fallen upon me. Reliance on oneself proved far more reliable than depending on others. Fortunately, My lucidity returned swiftly, aided by Shen Wangshan's profound affection, which had roused me from my stupor. I exerted considerable effort to suppress the upward curve of my lips as I glanced at my mother-in-law, relieved she had not noticed. She appeared utterly lost, her spirit adrift as she watched the male protagonist depart with the antidote, frozen in place. A sudden pang of anxiety gripped me. My mother-in-law must not falter now, for she was my shield against the tempest. I clutched my abdomen and cried out in distress. My stomach aches terribly. At that moment, my mother-in-law's only hope rested with my condition. The sadness that had clouded her expression was swiftly replaced by concern, and she neglected to comfort Shen Wangshan, focusing solely on me. I had no real ailment. I had merely concocted a ruse to ensure the safety of my pregnancy. My mother-in-law, anxious, took it upon herself to supervise the preparation of the medicinal concoction. The room was left with just the two of us, Wu Wang and myself. Forgive me. I did not foresee Shen Wangshan falling under the enchantment of a beauty. I had thought I could save him with my medical skills. I was astonished by her words. I hadn't anticipated her harboring any intention of rescuing that scoundrel. My thoughts slipped out before I could restrain them. Why would you wish to save him? If he survives, how will I continue my performance? Wu Wang was equally taken aback by my callousness and retorted disapprovingly, he is, after all, the father of your child. Even if you do not wish to be with him, you must consider the child. I grew impatient with her incessant prattle. The constant refrain of "for the child" was irksome. It transported me back to my own childhood. So, what if I become a widow? I can raise a child alone. Besides, with a noble title now bestowed upon me, I have no cause for worry. Wu Wang persisted, it is different. If the child learns that you harmed Shen Wangshan, he will thank me, I interrupted her. And as long as you remain silent, he will never know. My eyes flared with a murderous intent. I discerned Wu Wang's anger and felt compelled to elucidate. She had aided me greatly since my arrival in this world, and I did not wish to divert my focus. I began recounting the childhood tales I had never shared before. My father had a first love, his white moonlight, in a drunken stupor. He once confessed that had it not been for me, he would have been with her. Thus, all his frustrations were unleashed upon my mother and me. Each time I was struck, I wished my mother would take me away, yet she remained loyal to my father, despite his cruelty and his abusive tendencies. I felt for her, but she insisted, this is all for you. Children without fathers are pitiable. I could not comprehend. I only felt the pain of his beatings. I would rather have no father than endure such torment. I shared this sentiment with her, and my mother chastised me for being ungrateful, for not wanting her happiness. As I grew older, I even began to resent her for her apparent weakness. So when my father struck her, I no longer defended her. I only wished for her to be strong enough to leave. Even if she had to go alone, that would have been better. Alas, she chose to endure the abuse. Eventually, my father strayed, and the woman he chose was not his white moonlight. Ironically, he squandered my mother's money to pamper his mistress. I viewed this as a farcical spectacle. I often thought, perhaps if my father were to die, my mother and I might fare better. You need not worry that your child will envy others for having a father. If Shen Wangshan were to live, he would dote on and devote all his energy to the heroine by Xianyun, even to her child. I believe my child would wish for his father's demise. This was my learned perspective. Wu Wang, taken aback by the revelation of my childhood, was rendered speechless. After a moment's contemplation, she seemed to understand that if Shen Wangshan truly survived, my life might indeed be less favorable than it would be without him. She fell silent, and I recognized her softening heart, continuing to reassure her. Fear not, you need not dwell on it. The poison was not something I sought from the imperial physician. He wished to harm me in his quest to save Bai Xianren, and I merely returned his malice in kind. Moreover, I did seek the antidote for him, only for it to be seized by the male protagonist. There is no second antidote. This is his fate. Originally, this was my destiny. Yet now it seems more fitting to be aligned with Shen Wangshan. I could feel Wu Wang's spirits lifting considerably. At that moment, my mother-in-law entered with the medicine, and we concluded our discussion. Wu Wang, embodying the benevolence of a healer, prepared several prescriptions to alleviate Shen Wangshan's suffering. I felt at ease within the Shen household, cherishing my pregnancy. However, tranquility was short-lived. On a bright, sunny day, while I was engaged in cheerful conversation with Wu Wang, Bai Xianyun burst into the room, fuming. She pointed an accusatory finger at me. Lu Weifang, brother Wangshan lies bedridden, and you still find reason to smile? I turned, my smile faltering as I rose to greet her. I have seen Her Majesty the Empress. It appears you are overly concerned. Even about a humble servant's laughter at home. I had truly reached my limit with this heroine. Previously, I had hoped that Shen Wangshan would have a change of heart, fearing that I might appear as a bully in his eyes. The disparity in our statuses had made me defer to her, but did she truly think I was afraid of her? Bai Xianyun was taken aback by my sudden outspokenness. Unable to respond immediately. Bold Shen, how dare you defy the Empress? I shall teach you a lesson and show you what is proper. One of her handmaidens, quick to act, raised her hand to strike me. Wu Wang, standing beside me, was a former imperial consort. Although she had taken vows at Fa Hua Mountain, her title remained intact. Thus, she did not bow before Bai Xianyun. Upon witnessing the impending assault, she immediately brandished a needle and aimed it at the approaching maiden. The handmaiden yelped in pain. You dare to harm me. Your Majesty, you must take responsibility. Only then did I recognize the handmaiden as Rong Chui, Bai Xianyun's close attendant. She had grown arrogant due to Bai Xianyun's favor, treating me with disdain. Had I not known of her affection for Shen Wangshan, I would have suspected that she was sent to humiliate me by Bai Xianyun. The frost pattern bracelet she wore had originally been a gift from Shen Wangshan to placate me, only to be seized by her. She always flaunted it before me, and now her wrist was swollen and bruised, bringing me an odd sense of satisfaction. Seize both of them, Bai Xianyun proclaimed, assuming her regal stance as she confronted me. I am not the least bit intimidated, gently caressing my belly while smiling. Your Highness, I am, after all, your savior, and even the Emperor has spoken highly of me. If you treat me this way, it might not reflect well on your reputation if word gets out. The pride gleaming in my eyes is unmistakable, and Bai Xianyun perceives it all too clearly. She has never regarded me with any respect, and now, provoked by my taunts, she is understandably furious. It was my brother, Wangshan, who saved me. What claim do you have as my savior? Oh, is that so? I remain unfazed. Bai Xianyun, losing face, angrily barks at the palace maids behind her. Am I unable to command you? Hurry and seize those two for me. Rong Sui, noticing her swollen hand, immediately rushes toward Wu Wang upon receiving the order. I command them to halt, bellowing, Master Wu Wang is a consort of the late emperor and bears a title. Let us see who dares to lay a finger on her. Not far off, I inadvertently catch sight of a group hastily approaching. The momentary chaos in my heart dissipates. Hold on, let me see who dares. My mother, looking as if facing a formidable enemy, stands protectively in front of me, her eyes fixed intently on Bai Xianyun. Aunt Shen, Liu Shuang is being utterly unreasonable. Wangshan lies half dead in bed, and she still dares to laugh. I hide behind my mother, feigning excessive fright, which causes her great concern. Your Highness has misunderstood. The physician said I am feeling despondent, which is detrimental to my health, hence I feign a smile to ease my mother's worries about Wangshan. I cover my eyes, my voice choked with emotion. Wangshan is poisoned, and I cannot bear to witness his suffering. The thought of my son suffering for the sake of Bai Xianyun incenses my mother, as the antidote I pleaded for was snatched away and handed to her. Now! She twists the narrative, as if she wishes for the Shen family to die out. The malice in her gaze is impossible to conceal. Bai Xianyun, flustered, points at me. You lie. You're feigning happiness. I see you're positively delighted. Aunt Shen, I believe Liu Shuang is indeed. Enough. Wangshan's condition is entirely due to you. I do not wish to see you here. I implore the Empress to leave the Shen residence. My mother interrupts, suppressing her urge to curse, fearing any disrespectful actions towards Bai Xianyun. In the days since Bai Xianyun awoke, she has been indulged and pampered by the male protagonist, receiving every whim. Now, with Shen Wangshan in such a state, she is naturally unwilling to depart. She softens her tone. Aunt, I have come to express my gratitude to Wangshan. Rest assured, I will implore the Emperor for a second antidote. Rest assured? How can I relax when you possess the only antidote? Unless a second one appears immediately, it is uncertain whether Wangshan will survive until tomorrow. My mother, unable to bear it any longer, grips Bai Xianyun's sleeve tightly, trembling as she questions her. I cannot allow harm to come to Bai Xianyun and rush to separate the two. Mother, please remain calm. The Empress is also concerned for her husband. If he sees her in good health, he may feel better, perhaps even prolonging his life. I never anticipated that Shen Huangshan could endure for so long, counting the days. He has outlasted the average person by 2. I suspect he is merely clinging to life for her sake. This, too, fulfills his last wish, should he pass. He ought to do so with his eyes closed. My mother, perhaps agreeing with my sentiment, nods weakly in acquiescence. Bai Xianyun never imagined that Shen Huangshan's condition could be so dire. She had never contemplated that he might die young, especially for her sake. An inexplicable anxiety begins to take root in her heart, and her steps become increasingly hurried. I follow slowly behind, and upon arriving in the courtyard, I hear my mother's lamenting wails. Bai Xianyun, you are a harbinger of misfortune. It is because of you that Huangshan is in this state. Get away from me. And I have done nothing. I never anticipated things would turn out like this. I gaze in astonishment at Wu Wang. Could it be that it is this fortuitous? Just moments ago, I had indeed laughed, my heart lightened by Wu Wang's words that Shen Huangshan would not survive the night. It is said that rising to power often comes at the cost of a spouse. The same can be said for women. This is indeed a momentous occasion. And my laughter is entirely justified, is it not? Wu Wang looks at me with disbelief. Do not laugh so heartily. Anyone unaware might think you wish for Shen Huangshan's demise. But I do wish for his death, I reply, astonished by the serendipity that seems to align with my desires. Observing Bai Xianyun weep uncontrollably, I wonder if she caught a final glimpse of Shen Huangshan. Rongsue, with her swollen hands, stands between the two of us, shouting, Madam Shen, the Empress has always regarded Lord Yong'an as a brother. How could she harm him? This is not the Empress's doing. It is the decree of Lord Shen, and she cannot be blamed. I recognize that the opportunity for revenge has arrived. I stride forward, pushing Rongsue down and delivering several fierce kicks. How satisfying. Huh. You dare to strike Wu Wang? Watch how I deal with you. Ultimately, it is my mother's fear for my unborn child that prevents her from letting me continue. She clasps me tightly around the waist, pulling me back. Alone. She almost manages to throw me aside in my fervor. Regaining my composure, I point an accusing finger at Rongsue. Your husband's fate is not for you to discuss. It is not your place to meddle. I know you have long harbored resentment for not being taken by my husband. Have you not acted upon it? Rongsue had not expected the flames of ire to reach her, but stifling her pain, she protests, Liu Shuang, what nonsense are you spouting? I am entirely innocent. If this were to spread, how would I ever marry? Innocent, you say? Then why does the heart-shaped lock that Huangshan bought for me rest on your wrist? Why did you seize the bracelet he gifted me? Pray, do tell, is there no jealousy born of love? I fixate on the frost-patterned bracelet adorning Rongsue's wrist. Let this vex you. Rongsue, feeling guilty, instinctively covers her wrist. In the past, she had leveraged Bai Xianyun to extract numerous gifts from Shen Huangshan, even going so far as to covet the birthday present he had intended for me. The frost-patterned bracelet was among them. I had once expressed my grievances, only to be chastised by Shen Huangshan for being petty and narrow-minded. He was not wrong. I am indeed narrow-minded, harboring grudges until now. A gentleman may wait 10 years for revenge. I believe the day will come when I can finally relieve the bitterness of the past. Rongsue dares not meet Bai Xianyun's gaze. These actions were all her own doing. At the time, she had assumed marrying Shen Huangshan was a foregone conclusion, never anticipating his rejection. The thought that she once had Bai Xianyun make decisions for her, yet still failed to wed Shen Huangshan, ignites her resentment. Her eyes, filled with malice, turn towards me. I then recall that after the frost-patterned bracelet was taken, Bai Xianyun suggested that Shen Huangshan take Rongsue as his concubine before my very eyes. My hand unconsciously rests upon my belly. It is truly thanks to those two that I have this opportunity. After Shen Huangshan rebuffed Bai Xianyun, he drowned his sorrows in drink that very night, granting me a chance to exploit. Bai Xianyun was expelled from the Shen family by my mother. Not long after, rumors spread through the capital that the Empress had caused Shen Huangshan's demise. The outcome for him drew sighs of sympathy from all. Simultaneously, Tales of Shen Wangshan's deep affection for Bai Xianyun and their mutual feelings being torn apart by the current emperor began to circulate. I had a hand in crafting these rumors, and my mother, upon discovering this, fanned the flames. As I enjoy my grapes, I listen as a servant reports that Bai Xianyun and the male protagonist have quarreled over this rumor, causing a rift in their relationship, which fills my heart with delight. Without Shen Wangshan, this deeply devoted male lead to safeguard her, I wonder how Bai Xianyun can continue to live freely and untroubled. Suddenly, an electronic voice resonates in my ear. Ding. Congratulations, host, for completing all plot lines. Plot completion rate, 95. 5. Now granting rewards. 1 return ticket to your original world. 1 universal detox pill. Please confirm, host. It is the system. How could this be? I never intended to return. My adherence to the plot was solely for this very moment. And now I am informed of task completion. This is utterly absurd. When I fell ill with cancer, I donated everything I owned. Not only that, I borrowed to the fullest extent possible. Now, upon returning, I possess nothing and am burdened with a mountain of debt. What is there to return to anyway? I inquired of the system, can I transfer the return ticket to someone else? The system replied, yes. Without further ado, I decided to give it away. My journey of wealth and glory had only just begun. No one could thwart my aspirations. I sought out Wu Wang and conveyed my situation. Wu Wang was overjoyed. Unlike me, she had loving parents and a bright future ahead. There was nothing here worth her nostalgia. Knowing she could return, she nodded eagerly. I wish to go back, thank you. By the way, what name do you go by over there? Is it still Liu Shuang? If possible, I wish to see what you are like in that realm. I hesitated momentarily, but ultimately confessed my fears. I worry that no one will come to claim my remains. My name is Wang Li, residing in XX community. Don't say we are friends, just tell them I owe money. I knew I would meet my demise soon, having borrowed extensively. Wu Wang asked, what did you borrow money for? I stammered, I merely resent the unfairness of fate. Since I am destined to die, I might as well do so with flair. That night, I witnessed Wu Wang's departure with my own eyes. As the ticket provided by the system was torn, a small circular portal materialized. Suddenly, Bai Xianyun appeared, nearly scaring my soul away. Liu Shuang, why are you still here? Did you cause the death of Brother Wangshan? She approached with a knife, and I couldn't tell if she noticed the glowing circle above. Hesitating for a moment, it was too late to evade. Wu Wang rushed over, shielding me, and was struck instead, gripping Bai Xianyun tightly. By the time help arrived, Wu Wang had already drawn her last breath. I held her lifeless body, weeping uncontrollably. Rest assured, the host, Milila, has returned. As she traversed souls, her return was natural, her body over there remains intact, and she shall soon be discharged from the hospital. The system's words brought me some comfort. Thank you, system. No need for gratitude. Her recovery is largely due to your miraculous healing elixir. What? I was taken aback. I had no recollection of providing her with anything. Nevertheless, given her care for me, it was no matter. What of Bai Xianyun now? Due to the opening of the time-space wormhole, she is filled with profound regret. Her past soul having traversed the wormhole back to the present. I was at a loss for words. Damn. She had it good in her last life. She was a queen. What was there to regret? It seemed she yearned for the heavens. What now? The narrative of the novel has concluded, and the world has detached from its plot, now operating independently. The host may dispose of matters at their discretion. This system will detach from the novel world in 10 seconds. Wishing the host a pleasant future. 10, 9, 8. I understood that the system would not return. I caressed my belly and smiled. Bai Xianyun stormed into the Shin residence, intent on murder. The former Empress Dowager was assassinated, deemed unworthy to be Empress, demoted to a noble and confined for 3 months to transcribe Buddhist scriptures in prayer for the deceased Empress. I felt a tinge of dissatisfaction with Bai Xianyun's fate. I surmised the Empress Dowager had intervened on her behalf. After all, the Empress Dowager viewed Wu Wang as a thorn in her side. By the time I was born, the Emperor had already appointed a new Empress. How swiftly time had passed, it had only been 6 months. Men truly. I shook my head, beginning to understand Bai Xianyun's regret. The fickle-hearted male lead compared to the ever-loving, supportive second male lead, one's worth became glaringly apparent. Were I in her shoes, I too would regret not cherishing Shen Wangshan. As I had anticipated, the next encounter with Bai Xianyun found her imprisoned. Without Shen Wangshan, she was discovered conspiring against the Empress and harming the heir. Sentenced to death. In her final moments, she fervently requested to see me. You have returned, haven't you? Why did you cause Brother Wangshan's death? I have fallen to this state because of you. Why can't you die like you did in your past life? I listened in silence. When she finally grew weary, she broached a question that had long intrigued me. What do you intend to do upon your return? If I perish, shall you rekindle your romance with Shen Wangshan? Or will you, as in your previous life, allow him to cherish you for eternity? Bai Xianyun had been lamenting, but upon hearing my inquiry, she fell silent. Upon awakening, she was shocked by Shen Wangshan's demise. Then it dawned on her that I might have also returned from the future. She could not allow me to live, fearing my vengeance. Her current plight was indeed my retribution. However, had it not been for me, she would not have traversed to this point in time and would have no chance of a resolution with Shen Wangshan. She was bewildered. It was clear she truly regretted. She had always known of Shen Wangshan's affections for her and thus took his kindness for granted. Later, marrying the emperor, she believed happiness would ensue, yet life was far from what she envisioned. Fortunately, Shen Wangshan had been by her side. Now, with Shen Wangshan dead, she too faced her demise. She was at a loss as to her purpose in returning. Were there to be a next life, she would undoubtedly cherish Wangshan. Noticing her silence, my patience waned. When I departed, she remained oblivious. The following day, Bai Xianyun hanged herself in her cell, clutching the ruby-tipped golden butterfly hairpin that Shen Wangshan had retrieved for her. Had I been present, I would have realized that this pin was one half of the pair that had once fallen from Shen Wangshan's embrace. However, this pin had already been damaged when retrieved. Hairpins are typically a pair, and this one mirrored their fate. Both had met a dire end. I could only hope that in the next life, they would be bound together and not wreak havoc on others. I collected Bai Xianyun's remains and interred her beside Shen Wangshan. My mother-in-law did not grasp my intentions, merely attributing it to my deep affection for Shen Wangshan. She could not withstand the passage of 2 years. I took the child to pay respects at her grave. Naturally, I would not bring the child to visit Shen Wangshan. He did not deserve it. I had not forgotten his attempt to poison both me and the child. Wu Wang had left me numerous medical texts, ensuring I would not find myself bored in the future. I wondered how she fared in her realm. Mother. I snapped back to reality, gazing at the small figure beside me, and everything felt at peace. Such days are truly wonderful. Mila Li's side story. My name is Mila Liu. The day I was diagnosed with ALS, the system appeared. It stated that if I completed the malevolent female antagonist's plot from the novel I had read yesterday, I might recover. I agreed. However, the tasks proved exceedingly challenging. I was born into the Mi family, a lineage of physicians, and grew up surrounded by love from my parents. I found it impossible to harm others. Perhaps the female antagonist from the novel struggled to take action herself, thus requiring my external assistance to propel the plot forward. Alas, I too could not bring myself to do it, and I decided to abandon the mission. I befriended the female lead and developed a close relationship with the male lead, the Emperor. I discovered that I had fallen for the male lead. In such circumstances, I found great contentment. However, a sudden turn of events ensued. I was framed and poisoned, and the male lead imprisoned me in Huafei Temple. Not long after, he met his demise. The Empress suddenly appeared. She looked at me, a triumphant smile gracing her lips. You have returned. So, what if he fell in love with you? You are still beneath my heel. I was taken aback, shocked by her words. Unable to kill me, she merely left with a flourish. After her departure, the system reappeared. The host has failed to complete the task. Plot completion stands at 20%. The system is about to detach, wishing the host a pleasant life. I was perplexed, believing I was destined to remain there indefinitely until I encountered Liu Shuang. Like me, she was a traveler who had met the system. Unlike me, she was bold in love and hate, and I was taken aback to learn that she had poisoned Shen Wangshan. No, she had administered him poison. I was also unprepared for her to provide me with a ticket home. Upon returning to the modern world, I sought her out. Contrary to my expectations, There were not many demanding money from her. Rather, numerous individuals came to express their gratitude. After some inquiries, I discovered that she had donated all the funds she had borrowed. Her body was not buried as I had mentioned. Instead, a multitude of people rallied together to bestow upon her a grand funeral. You see, many remember you. In her final moments, she wept with profound sorrow. I longed to tell her that I was well and that, thanks to her, I had returned home. Alas, she could no longer hear me. I hope that she finds peace in her journey ahead, embracing a life of splendor and fortune. This concludes the narrative. Thank you for listening. And we shall meet again in the next tale.